think it's not possible to compare even considering music. There's a difference between playing in person, live music, and the many other uses of sound that I make in my work. I do sound installations, and I have made recordings where I recorded all layers of, it's just that even describing music or sound is quite complicated. So music has one difference in that some of it is completely free improvisation and some of it is composition. So yeah, I don't know how to it's just that they each have particular sculpture is the art of making objects, so it doesn't have anything to do with music. It could, but well, I feel more comfortable playing the piano than I do making a film, because the film can be full of complications and difficulties. In context of the rest, is that what you mean? The context being the festival, all the other films, or also the style of this festival. And the festival is described as being a festival of a documentary film, and that's a term that could be applied with some accuracy to La Région Centrale, but it was never intended to be a documentary in that sense. However, another description of it would say that it is a landscape film, but it's not an imitation of painting landscapes. It's a film landscape. So, despite the festival being described as a documentary, there is a great range to the choices, which I think is very interesting, of different kinds of films and how they have dialogues with each other. So, I mean, it's a very well just looking at the list of things, it's a very well chosen festival. Yes, that's accurate in a way, because that's what I was trying to do, is to try to make a film of a completely open space, and it was preceded by three films that use interior spaces, and they're very particular uses of them, and so I decided to try to work with a completely open space, which meant finding such a location and considering how to use it, how to shoot it. Was one of the inventors of a new machine, which could move the camera in a completely spherical movements without photographing what was holding it up. So the camera is freed. And so the main thing about the film, or preparation for the film, was to try to conceive and find a way to describe moving the camera in such a way that it had never been moved before. So I did try to write out the descriptions, and when we were shooting the film, I tried to follow my directions, but fortunately, I started to understand the instrument that we had designed, and so during the shooting, I tried some things that I hadn't thought of before, and of course, this is just film, so when we shot something, we couldn't see what the result was. We had to wait till 4 or 5 days later when we got back to a laboratory and have the film processed. So that was an interesting thing too, because I was just playing with dials. There were a number of dials which could move the camera horizontally like that, and vertically, but also centered on the lens, rotating like this, and also zooming. And each one of those movements was controlled from 1 to 10, 1 being slowest, 10 being fastest. So I had to decide if it was going to be horizontal 5 with rotation 10, well, that would make it move fairly fast, but also make the camera move extremely fast. So I in a sense, played the instrument by trying to foresee what it was going to be like to have horizontal 3 with rotation 6 or something. So that